Hey, good day, YouTube. What's going on? Checking in again for lunchtime. I'm going to figure out a schedule here at some point. Get back busy with it. So, looks like we got people checking in already. Did it, I don't know if it posted when I made the video or not. All right, anyway, give us a minute to warm up people in here. Give you a little bit of a view while we're waiting. We got a good, still got lots of snow on the mountains. Looking good out there today. Again, it shouldn't have an issue with our water this summer, so that's good. Been right on. Okay, Christine, there you go. Exactly, Christine. Christine's on it. Unuseful ADM long. Hey, Alicia. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Christine's way ahead of me. She knows what we've been reading. Exactly. So, yeah, there's an article in the Washington Post, and shout out to Mule Team. He posted this like right when I read it. It's on the Drudge Report. It's like in the middle column, but it's an article. I printed out here. It's about everybody's now getting on board the civil. Actually, that's backwards to you, isn't it? In America, talking about things that haven't been talked about in 150 years. It's like, haven't they been on YouTube? Well, apparently we're the conspiratorial people they talk about in here. But yeah, it says the talk turns to something unspoken in 150 years, Civil War. And we have talked about that in depth around here, have we not? It has not been a subject we have avoided. But they get in this article talking about all this. What they're really insinuating is that people are saying that Trump's not going to give up power peacefully if he is outvoted in 2020. All kinds of other stuff, propaganda, if you will, in my extent. The polls and percentages of the polls that they've put out there, and all these other things. And all it says to me, and what my key takeaway, and what I want to put out there right straightforward to people is, don't be a useful idiot for this for this program that they're putting out there. They're trying to divide you into two sides. They're making you choose. Who do you want to control the power in Washington, D.C. is all this is promoting. And people are falling for it, no doubt. People are choosing sides, if you will. People are willfully choosing sides. People think that they have to choose sides. But all you're doing is promoting your next oppressor. That's all you're doing is promoting and picking who's going to oppress you from Washington, D.C. next. Unfortunately, I know we're long past any ability to have secession. Secession is the only way to get out of this system, to take the power away from Washington, D.C. But there's not enough political will out there to do that. And because the states are so fragmented internally, and there's not enough, the margins are too close in states to actually have anybody actually go do that, because everybody does see it as a left-right paradigm instead of a freedom issue and a constitutional issue, unfortunately. But that really leads to the problem. If they're going to push this, how do we keep ourselves out of being caught up by the useful idiots? How do you keep yourself being caught up in a war that is not in your self-interest or in your best interest, no matter who wins? No matter who controls Washington, D.C., nothing's going to change. It's not going to give you a greater freedom or a greater lifestyle or anything like that, you know? So I would say the biggest thing to message on this, people, is you got to push back when people start talking about that. Don't fall for the hook and crook, you know. It's got to fully collapse. The system has to fully fall apart at this point. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. There's not enough willpower anywhere. I mean, if California would leave the union, it would be awesome. That'd be a good start. But they won't. They don't have the will to do it, and they're too scared, I think, because they know they can't go it alone. I think they know that they would have issues if they did try to do that. And there would be pain for everybody. There's going to be pain involved at the end of this anyway. But, you know, if we get to 2020 and people keep playing this game, you're just going to be fighting over a new master, or the old master who's supposedly not willing to part peacefully with his power, which is propaganda, I think. I don't think that's true, but they're putting it out there as a to frame the conversation with. So it really puts you in a tough spot if you're being forced to forced to choose sides that you shouldn't be forced to choose. So what does that mean? That means there's going to be a whole lot more pain in a civil war scenario like they're putting out here. If you have these groups, supposedly left and right, these left and right authoritarian groups, the fascists versus the communists, going at each other just to choose who rules from Washington, D.C., and you're stuck in the middle, it's going to create other factions are going to be required to fight against them too. It's going to balkanize. Doesn't it have to? It doesn't have to balkanize and have multiple interests involved in order to come out in a positive light. I mean, if we let it go and it just goes into a civil war scenario on a light scale, and they fight it out and somebody wins and takes control of Washington, D.C., it's the end of the constitutional era, is it not? So it'd be a post-constitutional government. Officially, we're post-constitutional for over 100 years now, but officially it would be post-constitutional because it would not be able to reorganize under the Constitution, right? So then we would be in a whole other frame of government that we definitely not only do not agree with, but we don't even observe the founding documents that the government is going to be founded under. It's going to be a whole nother conundrum. And I kind of got on this line of thought. Bug Out Bubba responded to one of my videos a while back when I was talking about storing up your wealth in gold and silver and the other foodstuffs and water and everything else as a representation of your labor. He made a comment about after a collapse, the government being so overwhelming that basically they would outlaw any gold and silver in particular, among other things, that would be in a very oppressive government. And my thought was, if it's that bad, it's still SHTF. You're still in it. But looking at it in this scenario, like a civil war scenario, you're going to go through a SHTF into a more authoritarian government than you had beforehand. And that's a good point. That was a good question from him. And in this scenario in particular, it could definitely be that scenario. This would lead, a civil war like that would lead to a more authoritarian government than we currently exist in now. Because it would be more centralized, more power held in the central portions of the system, etc., which is very bad. And that would lead to more difficult to resist. So really, you got to look at it. If that goes down like they want it to, with a two-sided government, that they want to push, two sides fighting, really you're gonna have to form a second, third, fourth, a fifth side of the coin to fight them, because you don't want them to win either. We're gonna have to fragment and cause the deliberate fragmentation. We can't allow a civil war to occur that just allows a reconsolidation of government in Washington, D.C. That would be catastrophic, I think, and definitely very concerning if it continues down that path. Because, you know, in the past, in other videos, we've talked about this, and I've always said that I didn't think the Civil War would play out like a lot of people had talked about. And as they push this agenda, though, they're pushing it. putting the propaganda out. They're putting people in corners, trying to put them on one side or the other. If the military fragments and chooses a side, and you actually have units form up on one side or the other, we're gonna have big problems, and we can't allow that to happen. But definitely going back to the title, don't be a useful idiot and fall for one of the other sides. That's really the main point I wanted to get across with the title, is that choosing a side in that type of civil war is just choosing a new master with a more authoritarian government in the end. And I don't think anybody here wants to participate in that, but anybody watching, if you haven't thought about it that way, maybe you should reconsider the way you think about your relationship with your current governmental structure. So that's some lunchtime thoughts from me. Let me get in here on the side chat. Let me turn this camera around so you're not staring at my ugly mug. And we'll see who we got checking in here. We had a good crew show up early. Let me ask some questions and comments here, because all good stuff. M. Long is unuseful. Martin Armstrong has been predicting this for years, right, M. Long? Lots of people have been talking about it in different forms. It's all a matter of how it shakes out, but they're really pushing that they're going to fight over Washington, D.C. for it. But I don't like either side, right, Saints? Exactly. We kind of covered that. It doesn't matter if boot is left or right, you still got a boot on your neck. Yeah, how do we stay out of it, Alicia? Common Man, good afternoon. 88 Mark, good afternoon. Cali was deep red 25 years ago. They had to take it down. Was Cali really the crux? You think Cali was the critical mass for it, or did California just become a victim of its own prosperity? Christine, government promoting civil war so they can increase the jackboot police state. Good point, Christine, and that's always been my theory, is that any type of internal conflict between the citizens will only lead to an increase of the police state. And the same goes with economic crisis. The more economic crisis, the more the police state grows. We're going to get if any more economic problems, unrest, inflation, all those things increases the police state. They will find a way to pay for it, whether we like it or not. Hey, Midwest Prepper, good afternoon. You are not welcome here. Some civil unrest, no civil war. Potentially. Yeah, you get a lot more people being unfriendly to each other, which is what they like. The less the people are copacetic with each other, the less we are at this level, at our individual levels, interacting and being friends with our neighbors and stuff, the more power it gives to the government. Or more people are going to look to their government to protect them because they're scared of their neighbor instead of their government. That's the same thing as being a useful idiot, you know. Trusting the government more than your neighbor is the height of idiocy. Oh, you can hear it all now. You're either with us or the terrorist, right, Saints? That's gonna be it's gonna be a good line. Mule team saving up in lead and gunpowder, right? Hey, RTT, what's up, Matt? Where was all the 3%ers going when take up arms when Obama threatened to bypass Congress? But when Trump did it, take his silence, right? Right, Matt? A lot of people go into the shadows depending on who's in control, right? And that's the problem. People are too dependent upon one side of the coin. Welcome to the chat, Matt. Good to see you. 88 Mark, there are lots of good people in Cali. No one to represent us, right? And lots of people feel like that in all the states. People feel like that. It's happened here in Nevada. Many of your red states, people that are blue feel like they have nobody to represent them. So everybody supersedes that and they go to the federal level and everybody tries to control that big hammer so that they can, you know, hammer all the nails, or however you want to, use the biggest hammer possible instead of having the small tools at the local government level. They want the big hammer the federal government has built over the years to quash their problems. Alicia says we have to find a way to make each group starting with each other. Yep. Wait, don't start eating each other, Alicia. Wait. I think I missed your point. To make each group start eating. Oh, you're talking about the left and the right? The red and the blue start eating each other? Is that what you mean? Yeah, that's a good point, Alicia. It'd be good for them to eat each other internally, to take each other out. A strategy, I don't know how that would play out. I haven't thought that through. That's a good point, though. That'd be a good, that's a good Mao Zedong, that'd be a good, oh man, I'm losing, got me off track now. That'd be a good art of war tactic, I think. Hey, RG Homestead, how's it going down south there? Delaware Patriot, what's going on? Yeah, right. What's so civil about it, Delaware? Yeah, it would get really ugly. We know that. And we know that if, like I said, if it comes down to their forcing a two-sided deal, really, we got to be the ones to make it uglier. We can't allow it to be as cut and dry as this two sides. I think that's a worse catastrophic outcome. That would be more so than we currently are dealing with. It'd be, you'd have to force a total collapse to be better than one side winning a civil war, if that makes sense. Unfortunately. Hey, Dad on YouTube, what's up? Do it. How you doing? That's a green screen. Right? That looks like a green screen, doesn't it? Got it all planned out. This is where the jackrabbits play around in there in the summertime. I don't know if they'll come flying through here today. There's usually jackrabbits all over here, though, during the summer. RG says Civil War is not the answer. We have to stop the government overreach. Right, RG? But getting back to and it's in the links. I'll put the links to this article below. Is this article from the Washington Post talking about talks turned to something unspoken for 150 years. And they're pushing a two-sided red versus blue, left versus right civil war. The government basically want you to fight each other over who gets to control it, is the way I read that. And that's definitely not wanted, and definitely something to be avoided. How do you pick an enemy? What's up, Rooster? How do you pick an enemy in the Civil War 2.0? Everybody that's working against your interest. I'd say, Rooster, everybody that's trying to promote a governmental system to rule over you is going to be the enemy. Alicia, the CDC called you? I don't want to get off topic, but that's kind of unusual. You sure it was a CDC and was it your local people? That'd be very weird. There's no reason for the CDC to be calling you for any record. I definitely would tell them no, that's for sure. Even if it was the locals. And actually in your state, Alicia, that sounds like a prank call now that I think about it. If anybody in your house has been to the doctor to get a vaccination, like in the last 5-10 years, they have automatic records that the state folks can look into automatically at their level. The CDC can't dip into it, but they would have to do something else. But the CDC has no need. That sounds like a fake caller, like somebody trying to get your personal information to hack your bank account or something crazy, blackmail you or something. That's very fishy. I wouldn't think that the CDC would be doing that. Right, sad to see, RG, right? Hey, Stefan Minkenberg, how's things going? How's things across the pond, Stefan? Sounds like Brexit is a go. We talked about that briefly yesterday. Right, Dad? Both sides can eat me. Right, and that's what you're going to have to say. And really, you need multiple... you're going to need a lot of regionality to break out if they decide to go down this road they're promoting, and really needs to break down to a regional level so that they can't consolidate power after the fact. You can't allow, in a new Civil War 2.0, you can't allow a reconsolidation of 50 states, I don't think. Sun Tzu, that's the guy's name, Alicia. You typed in Art of War. Yeah, Sun Tzu. Brain's not functioning properly on that note. Right, Mark? Ben Franklin's quote. Yep. Rebellious souls have been too complicit. Right, Matt? So we know who to shoot at. Right? Well, plus, you know who you can shoot both ways, though, in this case, in a lot of cases. Rooster. Rooster, you're in California. You shouldn't see any Confederate flags. Yeah, M. Long, your long-term plan is get on first name basis with Amish, right? That's a good plan. That's your neighbors, right? Those are people that don't like you to come into their circle, though, either. That's a tough one. Christine, CDC does phone surveys. Yeah, but they shouldn't be asking for access to your vaccine records, though. That's craziness. They might do a survey about your home health status or something, but for them to call and ask for access to your personal records that's not, it's not even remotely in their purview, which makes it suspicious. It makes me think it's a phishing attempt, basically. Trying to find some old person to answer the phone to get their bank records or something. Hey, Aaron, what's going on? Yeah, I saw your video yesterday. Was it 2 days ago about Governor Ducey? I saw that. Building a smart city in Tonopah. I don't know if that's possible, is it? Are you going to build it, Aaron? You going to build Tonopah into a smart city? That'd be pretty impressive. People throwing some knowledge out there. Delaware Patriot with the long. What kind of quote's this? I can't even try to read that. Just everybody read that yourself. I can't put the feeling into it that deserves. Did they send you links? But they shouldn't be asking for your personal records, though, Alicia. That's the whole point of that. Right, Stefan? You're becoming anarchist. A lot of us are going that route, I think. All right, let me scroll down here and see what we got going on. All right. Oh. All right, I'm caught up. Governor of Arizona approved a smart city. Bill Gates bought $800,000 for his smart city. Building starts soon. 800,000 acres. That's a large plot of land out in the middle of the desert. Did they buy it in Arizona? Like, where is there 800,000 acres to buy that's not just federal land? Did they turn it over somehow? Yeah, Alicia, I consider shot records personal records, but whatever. If you're not on my contacts, you don't answer the phone, Midwest. That's a good policy, too. If I don't recognize your number, you better leave a message. If you don't leave a message, it wasn't important. That's a firm policy to get behind right there. I don't like answering that phone either. Oh, there's a Tonopah, Arizona. Okay, I didn't know there's a Tonopah in Nevada. That's what I thought you were talking about, Aaron. That's funny. They bought a size of land out there by Tonopah, Arizona, huh? 800,000. I mean, that's got to be all federal land, though, right? Or does the state own that much? The feds have so much land out here, you couldn't buy a continuous piece. You know, one solid piece out here in Nevada, I don't think, of that size. Yeah, I've got a question for you, Matt. There was some discussion today about large disaster events. Say if there was a large earthquake up Southern California or some other, think of any disaster type thing down along in the southern, in these western states or wherever, that there was some hypothesis that maybe that would be an opportunity, that there would be a large number of people that would rush across the border to blend in with the populace, especially if it was a large migrant event, like if everybody was leaving Southern California because of an earthquake or something like that. Do you think there would be a rush across the border in your area, Matt, on something like that? You think it's well organized enough for people to take avenues of opportunity when they see that happen? I thought it'd be kind of silly to leave a place that was relatively stable to rush into a place that was under a disaster declaration, but it does make sense if you're just trying to blend in with the population and get in, and move on down the road, I guess. But it was kind of an interesting thought. I had never thought of it before, but if people south of the border suddenly saw a big disaster of some sort that caused mass chaos, if they would take advantage of it to move across the border, come our way. We always talk about people going south in a big event, but would they take advantage and come up our way in a some sort of smaller scale event, I guess. America died in 1913. How's it going? Christine, you looked at the Arizona Smart City. It's 25,000 acres. That's still a huge tract of land. Huge. Oh, did we find somebody to make our AR lower? Did you see that from yesterday, Midwest, right? Yeah, we were discussing if we could get, if everybody had Benchmates, just pitched them into a contest of some sort, we'd build an AR out of it. Not even just the lower, Midwest would make the whole rifle out of it. But I guess maybe the quality of the metal wouldn't be sufficient for a barrel, but that was an interesting idea thrown out there yesterday. Who did that yesterday? Daggone, I forgot who threw that out there now. But yeah, I was telling them that Ebomi could probably organize something like that. If everybody sent their knives to Ebomi, get them melted down, and build a lower out of it and auction it off or something, that'd be the Benchmade AR. They cut them, we build them. make it some kind of contest or something. That'd raise a lot of money. Rooster's black pill today, having a hard time. Right, Rooster, I'm with you. People, but that's what they're pushing in that article. That was the whole point of the video, is they're pushing people to choose a side of who's going to control you. I don't know if they'd have the ability to close the border, Christine, I don't know if that would be yeah, we don't have the ability to close the border. I mean, we have the ability to close the checkpoints, the narrow on the roads, but there's so many other opportunities, especially Arizona, New Mexico, people might take advantage of if there was a diversion disaster of some sort. Hey, JJ McKay's with us. What's going on, JJ? Haven't seen you in a minute. Yeah, Mule, I can't remember who talked about it. I mentioned Ebomi because he's a channel that frequents Ebomi's channel. I can't remember who it was. But I know that he knows Ebomi. And I can't think of who brought it up yesterday. I'm losing my mind. That's why I brought it up to them, because I was like, they need to send that idea to him, because he could, they communicate better. I don't really know Ebomi that well. I mean, watch his stuff, but don't really interact with him much. All right, see you later, Midwest. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Tip one up for everybody. Have a good one. Have a good weekend if we don't see you later. Billy Bird Outdoors has joined us. Hey, good afternoon. So yeah, thanks everybody checking in. So to rehash the title for those that joined us late, there's a link in the description box to an article that was on the Washington Post. Talks about that talk is turning to unspoken for 100 years, 50 years about Civil War. And I was just saying, don't be an useful idiot being forced to choose a side that makes you be ruled from Washington, D.C. Because what this article is ultimately getting at is they want you to fight over who controls Washington, D.C. To be your overlord, essentially. And I was just going down the thought process of not allowing that to happen. And if it breaks out in that case, there needs to be a devolution to the regional level to prevent a consolidation after a supposed such civil war. And really, we can't allow that to happen because it'll be much worse, much more authoritarian than what we're dealing with now, and almost impossible to deal with. If we think things are bad now, after a Civil War 2.0, the authoritarianism that would be in place would be extreme to the nth degree. If just like, you know, after Lincoln things were bad, it's only gotten worse after that scenario. You could, I mean, legitimately you could see something like a Hunger Games thing. It'd be something like a Hunger Games thing, you know. It'd be so authoritarian and centrally controlled, with winners and losers being chosen from a central point, that that's what we would be dealing with, I think, and after a Civil War 2.0. And you don't want to deal with that. You have to force it to devolve at the regional level with whatever actions possible. You know what I'm saying? So plan accordingly in those respects. Don't put your eggs into the federal basket. And that's going to be hard for a lot of people, but the faster it can devolve to a local, regional level, the better. You got a 4-day op coming up soon, Matt? Sounds like a good time. The winter time's easy though, right? I mean, well, I guess you might have more people crossing this time of year, but it's not all 120 degrees. The summertime's brutal. Hey, Uncle Al's checked in. What's up, Die Bullfrog 79? Powder and spare socks. Right. And another good video was done today by Fourth Dimension. I checked that out. And he was talking about the coming issues. Some of my thought process was following that, but being on standby and ready to go check out Fourth Dimension's video from this morning. And some good stuff there. Lots of good videos coming out on YouTube right now. It's really amazing. Hopefully, I don't know how the suppression effort's going. I know that YouTube's having its problems with the pedophiles and everything going on on the children's channels and infiltrating YouTube, and they're getting backlash from their sponsors and stuff. So I don't know how much they're suppressing videos like these and all the ones you guys put out. But I mean, I haven't seen I mean, I don't have spikes in viewership really, so I haven't seen a real problem. But some of the bigger channels, some of you guys might see issues with your videos and who watches what, with YouTube potentially changing any algorithms for everybody's safety, of course. Border's real busy right now, right? Yeah, don't cross as much when it's 100 degrees. Exactly. So any more, yeah, more people would be better, right, Matt? Is there fence border barrier going in along the Arizona border, Matt, down in your area? Have they started down there on any of the sections of the border? I know they're kind of piecemeal. It seems like they got some going in Cali. I've seen some pictures of some going in Texas. And I think there was even some going up in New Mexico, but it's not like they're starting at one end and working their way all the way to the other end. They're doing it in sections along in different places. JJ, no jihadis ice skating across Lake Superior or snowshoeing. Northern borders all secure, right? Yeah, the ice back problem is a big problem, JJ. We just don't know it, I think. We have had Stan and others talk about the problems they have in Canada, though, about the Asians and the Chinese and stuff, especially in Vancouver. We had that whole issue last year with Toronto running out of shelters because of so many people, Canadians, moving from the West who had been pushed out by all the immigration, illegal and otherwise, from Asia into Vancouver. That was real interesting. I had thought that all the problems in Toronto were caused by the immigrants. It was caused by Canadians that were moving there because they had nowhere to go. That was a really interesting discussion we had last year about that. Gray Man Outdoors, how you doing? Good afternoon. Christine says Nogales had concertina wire. Nothing new, really. They have fortified a couple small stations, right? Mostly wide open. None of the big, long sections. They haven't been building any of the wall sections themselves, the barriers. Hey, Angel R, good afternoon. What's going on? You love snowbirds? Right? All of us migrate there, Alicia. I don't know if I want to migrate. I don't know if I'm willing to migrate. But I think if things work out like I think they might, I think we might, the Mountain West states, for lack of a better word, everything from those mountains in front of you west to Denver would probably be all the same country anyway. It would be almost like John Smith's greater vision personified in a lot of ways, I think, culturally and economically tied together. Hey, Tactical Tony, what's up? You got rainbows in your area? You got that storm coming in, right? Awesome day of snow and sub-zero up at Gray Man. Okay. Phoenix is not looking good, huh? American Died. Phoenix is being overrun, I guess you'd say. Angel R, so I get I get laughed at for promoting the ballot box, but nobody wants to use the cartridge box. And that's one of the things that ACAS was talking about this morning on his video over at Fourth Dimension was nobody wants to be the first one, and he's talking about some of those issues about the cartridge box, Angel. Definitely go check out that video. I don't want to summarize it too much here. Definitely go check it out. Maybe we should all run for office, says Alicia. What, and have our dirty laundry drug out in public? Yeah, I don't know if I want to go for that, Alicia. I'm fortunate. We've got a pretty decent local crew where I live, at the local county level at least. Tactical Tony's turned to the dock side. I don't know. I don't think Tony meant it that way. I think he meant it in the traditional sense. But Tony will endeavor to persevere. Who's going to fire the first shot, right? Right, Mule? And that's ultimately the moral hazard of the situation. And that's what my response to ACAS on that was the ball is really in the enforcer's court. It's up to the enforcers to see how this all plays out. They can side with the authoritarians or they can side with the people. They really don't have many other choices. They can let it devolve into Animal Farm, and let it become where they are the protectors and the guardians of the, they can be the enforcement class of the elite, or they can side with the people. But it's going to be, that's where the ball lies, really, as who's going to make the first move. You know, you have incidents, you know, where the sheriffs, you have local sheriffs standing up in local counties, you know, making these declarations about, you know, sanctuary status for people's right to keep and bear arms. So that's one example of the some enforcers stepping out of line, I guess you would say, because they haven't got total compliance out of every law enforcement person, I guess you would say. But it's a high percentage that still follow the orders, just do what they're told. And that's where the ball's in their court for these different red flag laws and everything else. You know, we had the anniversary of Waco beginning yesterday and the whole debacle there. And the ATF was sending out social media messages honoring their thugs that went into Waco. And they got a lot of backlash for that, which was appropriate. I enjoyed the social media harassment of the ATF extremely yesterday. But that's where the ball lies. What's their move with between red flag laws and all these other legal structures they create to make you a criminal? At what point is somebody going to be looking, I'm not going to enforce this because it's not right? Is anybody going to have a conscience? Are people already having a conscience, a thought of their conscience and what they're going to do in those events? Are they beginning to realize how they're being used to protect the thuggery of the system versus what they thought when they joined? So many of them, you know, a large majority of them, I think, believe that they are protecting people, but then it devolves into other things later down the line. And how many are having that moral crisis or are going to have already made their decision? Gray Man's going to watch the craziness from afar. Hey, what's up, Quasar? How's it going? Good afternoon, Quasar. Know and hear all. Yeah, third option, knows and hear all. You're just his lackey. George Orwell may have gotten it wrong. You think so, BC Outdoors? I don't know. I don't know. The Saint, good afternoon. How's it going? Got a couple people checking in here. Try to catch up on. People checking in all over. Welcome, good afternoon. Hope you're doing good. Lots of lists out there, right? Everybody's got a list. Yeah, all right. Well, folks, I just wanted to get that out. Let everybody check out that article. Check it out in the description box below. It's a good thought material. If nothing else, what are they really aiming for? It's interesting. We've been talking about this issue of a divided civil war for ever since I've been on YouTube. Since the last regime was in charge, we've talked about this, and it didn't get nearly as much play as it does now, which makes you wonder what's the agenda, what are they pushing? And it just seems to be more division in my mind, and it's not something worth getting on either side of. And that's the big concern, is if you join a side, you're just promoting your own enslavement. So I'll leave you with that, folks.